Well, we have arrived at episode number 4, and this is going to be a really exciting one for both you rental store operators and also just, think general business owners are going to get some really awesome insights today from this episode. It's going to be about marketing your business on a budget. So no fancy agencies required, just things that you can do or that are cost effective, that get more customers in your door without having to spend a fortune. I'm your host, Isaac, and this is Rent All Business Beacon. If you've ever felt like, am I leaving money on the table? Am I doing enough to put my company out there in front of potential customers' faces? You're not alone in that. In my introductory video, I talked about how we've been around for 3 generations now in my city with 2 locations, but still to this day, we have people showing up who say, man, we didn't know you guys existed, or, oh, we thought you were just like a contractor house where you guys actually did the work, didn't know that you rented this equipment. It happens. You're not alone in that feeling. It's just a chance for you to evaluate, are you doing the proper things to make yourselves known, have an online presence, make sure your brand presence is known in your market. So you don't need to spend any like $10,000 to rebuild a website or build out a new website for those guys that are smaller and perhaps don't have a website built yet. Today, we're just going to be talking about low cost, high impact things that you can be doing to get a return, get more customers coming in. Just really easy things you can do. Walking out of this episode, honestly, within a day, you can have a lot of these systems in place, ready to rock and roll for bringing in more customers, increasing that revenue, just being more successful. Today's episode, like I said, is going to be about low cost things that you can do. But if you're curious, are you putting enough money into advertising? Just as a quick little injection, what we're doing in a town of like 70 to 80,000 with 2 locations, we spend $5,000 a month on online advertising, which includes SEO, pay-per-click, some social media engagement, social media presence. That's what we're spending, just, website optimization, all those different things. That's what we're spending every month. So it should kind of go without saying that if you're an undersaturated market, there's probably not a whole lot of need to have a huge budget for advertising because there's not a whole lot of choices as it is for customers. But then, the opposite of that, naturally, if you're in a super saturated market, you're going to have to spend more. Over time, new companies are going to, start moving into your area, at which point you're going to have to obviously raise up what you're going to be willing to put into your advertising, just making yourselves more known. But then now's your chance to build that rapport, grab those customers, because time is only one thing that you can't get back. So doing the most with it that you can right now is super important and imperative for you to take seriously. One thing that's really been important to me through all of my operation of my business is just building efficiencies and making sure that, just generally speaking, in most aspects of my business, that we're being as efficient as possible, both in like labor, how things are working with guys, the processes that we have set up for them, and likewise what I'm doing with my dollars that I'm investing into the company. So really evaluate how your money is performing in the different areas that you're advertising, and just make a concerted effort to regularly evaluate that. Have an annual meeting with your people that are doing your advertising, making sure that you're getting good metrics, good return on investment. It's a relatively hard thing to track your ROI on your advertising budget, but at any rate, you still need to see metrics as far as where you're showing up in listings, how your engagement's been, impressions, everything that goes along that line. Your advertiser should be bringing those to you, and if they're not, either request them. If they don't have them, maybe kind of evaluate that relationship you have with them, that it is a cost-effective relationship. One area that we've evaluated over the years was who we're using for our advertising, what type of advertising. In our market, for instance, Yellow Pages is certainly phasing out like the physical print of the Yellow Pages, where now they're doing like a more digital approach, which is the future. But at any rate, we've had really good success with the people that handle the majority of our digital advertising. So I've just rolled those advertising dollars from Yellow Pages into just our main digital presence team that handles all that online presence. Don't get hung up on the old school ways of advertising, for example, billboards as well. We don't run any billboards right now. We certainly have the budget if we wanted to add billboards, which has been on discussion for some time. For me, what I wanted to do was I've looked at billboards that are like the 15 to 20 mile radius from my city, the main highways coming in town. There's a lot of business that comes from Kansas City, south of us. So I've really wanted to put some sort of billboard signage of contractors coming up north, give them enough distance to see us, give us a call, start asking about what we have to offer. That way they show up in town, they maybe wanted to kill, 20, 30 minutes driving in town by having a conversation, checking prices, seeing if they might be able to save on that project, put more money back into their guys' pockets, things of that nature. Billboards are an old school way of advertising, so that's not something that I would look into if you're looking to increase your advertising or just getting started in advertising. I think that there's better things, more effective things you can do, because guys only drive a certain time of the day, but that people always be on their phones. So that's a really a keen spot to have your dollars going and your presence be known. Ultimately, what you should be pulling from this episode is that you don't need deep pockets to be a cost-effective advertiser. What you do need is consistency and grit. So what that means is just building up some sort of schedule that you keep yourself to, building that habit. It takes like 66 days or whatever to build the habit of posting, whether that be weekly, ideally posting daily, but at a bare minimum, posting some sort of content weekly. Because it's cheap to advertise in many ways, the number one thing that you can do that's free right now is taking ownership of your Google My Business account. If you guys don't have full control over your Google My Business account, you're already starting off in a really bad spot. So it's free. I'll go ahead and hang out here for a second while you go do that. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and wait for you to go do that. But after this episode, go on your computer there, take control of your Google My Business, make sure it's fully filled out, yours in your control, and that's going to start you off so much better than probably a majority of the guys that are doing their advertising. Your Google is an absolute powerhouse for advertising and web presence. So if you don't have full control over that, not to sound too repetitive, you're starting off in a really bad spot. Google loves consistency and it loves anything that's being input to it. So at least weekly, you need to be putting either a photo on your Google My Business page, some sort of status update, a weekly special. You need to be posting something. You're staying relevant in the Google sphere. So by posting something on a weekly basis, if you don't have a team handling your advertising, you're already starting off probably better than the next 9 guys next to you. So it's, again, free. It's just a matter of building that consistency and grit to keep to that schedule of posting something. One thing that I have to build consistency and also just make sure it stays in front of me is I've got a little calendar on my wall with that, have a dry erase marker next to, where every day that things that I need to do, I mark it off. So I've got on there my daily journals to upload for my financials for the day for the business. I've got check mark for checking the bank, things that have cleared the bank, making sure I'm clearing that off. That way it's not a huge problem at the end of the month, having to reconcile accounts, like your quarterly stuff, your monthly stuff. Just build a little checklist to have that you see in front of you daily or weekly, saying, hey, I've done this thing and checked it off. Being your social media post, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, whatever avenue you felt like is going to be the best and realistic for you to do. So having a thing in front of you to check off is really important, but don't be just putting up junk on there. Make sure it's good, clean, relevant photos. No stock photos. That's crazy if you are posting stock photos. Just a simple little photo of your yard, how it changes throughout the day, week, month, whatever, as machines move, come and go. Show that there's, change on your lot. Show that there's volume movement within your company. A simple photo of your guys riding up a customer, one of your guys out there wrenching on a machine, telehandler just got its annual service or it got cleaned up or whatever. Just post something on there. Again, make sure it's a good, clean photo, nothing sloppy. Make it look good, because you're putting yourself out there and you want to make sure that the impression from the person looking at you is a good impression and that you're portraying yourselves as a professional service, professional operation, looking good to the customer, because first impressions are obviously so big. So make sure that you look good right out there out the gate with the customers that you're trying to grab. Another free thing that you can do with Google My Business is just replying to every review that you get, engage with it, especially the bad ones. Perhaps you're not too concerned about replying to the people that give you a good review, but then the ones that are bad, you certainly need to reply to, because the customer coming in and looking at the bad experiences, they're going to be reading through that. That gives you the chance to show your professionality of perhaps getting a little bit of detail as to what happened, how you rectified the situation. I'm going to post, here's a couple responses that I had. You can pause it, of bad review that we had, and then our response, how we dealt with it. Just giving a quick little aside of, this is what happened. We appreciate your patience or whatever, and just give you a chance to clear your name and just show that you care about the customer and that they had a poor experience. And then also, the customer is going to really appreciate the ones that do put a good review, that you took the time to say, hey, I appreciate the good review that you gave. It encourages them to show your appreciation and keep coming back to you. And also shows the guys coming in, seeing you guys online, that you're an engaging business that cares about your presence and cares about the experiences that your customers have, again, both good and bad. And then to kind of finalize the Google My Business is put on there promotionals. That way you can kind of see the traction that you're getting and the engagement with your My Business that customers are having. Say you have just like a random weekend special, 10% off this category of machine. That gives you the chance to confirm, okay, customers are seeing us online, they're engaging with it. Gives you confidence that, okay, like there are some fruits of my labor of putting, these 5 to 10 minutes every day. Not even that, you don't even need to put 5 to 10 minutes every day into your Google My Business. But just generally speaking, towards social media presence or social online presence, you should be putting at a minimum 5 to 10 minutes every day. But that gives you a little bit of confirmation that people have seen it, they're engaging with it, and it's making some sort of impact because I see people coming in mentioning the work that I'm doing on the back end. Next will be your socials. I think you should be putting at least $50 a month into Facebook, Instagram, because those are absolute machines when it comes to online presence. So your $50, it's inconsequential. It's going to make an impact on it. There's ways that you can track the metrics on the return of that $50. I'll kind of leave that up to you to look into because it can kind of vary so much by your market, how you're spending those advertising dollars. But $50 a month is a really good starting point to put into feeding that Facebook and Instagram advertising and media presence machine. But with that, make sure you're having a bit of a micro approach and being like hyper local to how you're advertising it. You've probably seen it. I know I've seen it plenty of times, and it's somewhat laughable when you see advertising on Facebook or Instagram from some company that's like an in-person service, but they're like states away. So you know that they're just throwing a general blanket advertising out there where they should be, staying local, being focused on keeping it in their market, that micro approach. So recognize the area in which you're advertising, the groups that you're advertising to, guys that have interests like contractors, equipment operators, machinery traders, things like that. Make sure that you're staying relevant to those interests because that's where your advertising dollars are going to be the most effective. Some of the most effective videos I've put out and then also just seen or like a 15 or less second video to Facebook, TikTok, or whatever with some text overlay of like, hey, you need this machine, call this number, or come see us at this address. That's super simple that you can do. I think they're super effective. I think they just look really good, just in a general sense. And then for like 10 or $20, go ahead and just boost that post. One thing that's really smart to do is anytime you get a new piece of equipment, maybe it's a new type of equipment or just a new general piece that you typically carry, go ahead and certainly post that because that shows progression of your company growth. It really just solidifies that you're a company there to stay and that you're growing and you have longevity, that you're going to work with them, that you care about growth. Because I'm a huge despiser of stagnation. I can't stand the idea of stagnating and just staying put in what we're doing. So I'm always looking for growth, showing people that we are growing and that we're expanding with that new piece of equipment and boosting it. Make sure that you're kind of keeping some sort of record for equipment that customers are calling on that you may not have yet. Keep those customers' names on record and the piece of equipment that they're requesting so that when you eventually get it, then that's your lead. It was free because they've been calling you on it, so it's a hot lead. Then you can call them back and say, hey, we have this piece of equipment that you've been requesting for a while. Because at some point, we may have a piece of equipment that we're getting a lot of calls on from a few regular guys, and then suddenly we stop getting calls on it. And then we went ahead and bought the machine. Well, they're no longer calling you because they just know that you don't carry it. So that's certainly on your responsibility to make sure you're logging that. Good record keeping is good business. So give them a call saying, hey, I know you've been requesting this machine for a minute. We actually went ahead and bought it. Come check it out. And then in part with that, just putting out a video saying, hey, this is a new piece of equipment. We're really big on trying new things and developing a market for it. So for us, one thing was like concrete polishing was something that we didn't offer. And now it's like a decent sized part of our business. Back in that day, it was a little bit slow getting started and now it's good. But in today's day and age, you can buy something and start making a presence for it, putting it out there, make sure customers are aware of it. So that's on you. It's free. It just takes a little bit of time, consistency and grit, like I mentioned earlier. And then last on this section would be something you can do for free that also brings value to people in your area. You just go on Facebook, make a group called like Your Town Contractor Swap and Shop, something like that. Those pages, you've seen them. I'm sure you're part of them. They grow pretty exponentially. And what that's doing is giving you a chance to administrate and moderate people in your market that are buying and selling equipment or using equipment, just contractors in your area. That is one of like the best leads that you can have because you know that those guys are working, gives you a chance to engage with them, approach them, make sales calls because you're seeing what they do and don't have, what they're needing, what they're selling, replacing. Gives you a chance to put your equipment in front of their faces make sure that you are staying relevant to them, and just really putting yourselves consistently, being a little bit pestery is kind of a word I'm going to use, that you're in front of them, they're going to throw you a bone eventually, and then that's your chance to step up, give them an awesome experience, and then just build that lifelong customer. Next would be old school techniques that still crush it. And that's something super simple, like having sticker or magnetic advertising on your trucks, because your trucks are mobile. They're getting in front of people's faces on job sites. There's no reason to not have signage on your trucks. If you don't have signage on your trucks with your address, at the very least, your phone number, you're really failing on that part. So I would definitely encourage you to go ahead and make that one of your goals to have sorted after today's episode. I think it's like $80 maybe online. There's some pretty cheap online sources for getting vehicle magnetic stickers and whatever for advertising your company. One thing that I did was I had 2 of my trucks vinyl wrapped. It was really expensive. It was like $7 to $9 grand, I want to say, per truck to have it vinyl wrapped. It looks really good. So don't get hung up on that you have to have it. I know all the big boys, they have their stuff vinyl wrapped, decaled like crazy. It looks super slick, but it was a lot of money. And then you're just going to get frustrated with your guys when they inevitably scratch the truck and tear something up on it, just because you're like, man, I put a lot of money into this advertising on it, making this truck look good, and you guys are tearing it up. It just gives you a pain point and a frustration to have. So I think it looks really slick. Here's, a couple photos of what my trucks look like with their vinyl wraps, but it's just one more thing to certainly look professional and get your name out there, but don't get hung up on it that you have to be like the big boys. And just because, they have investor funding, they've got significantly more money than you to, kind of do some just more discretionary spending. So there's certainly better areas you can put your money, but for a mere $80, you're getting stickers and some decals on your equipment and trucks, on your machines too, not just get hung up on your trucks, your machines and trailers. Everything needs to have some sort of advertising about your company for people to reach you and know where this equipment is sourcing from. Next would be not to rely on the signage that's posted on either out front of your store on like a permanent sign or your storefront itself. Have some yard signage out there, some banners. Perhaps you have promotional stuff through the year that you do. Have something that's going to be out there in front of the customers' faces as they're driving by. Give them just as many chance to look at you guys from a distance as possible. So don't just have super simple things, things that are marked on the building. Have a little bit more effort of putting things out there. Just recently, we've added a couple propane banners out front for people to know that we fill propane. A lot of people know that we fill propane at one of my locations. We've even got a digital display up with a really cool graphic of a fire burning and signage saying that we fill propane. But we just have a little bit more, the flags waving in the wind. I think it was like $100 per flag. So we have 2 of them out there. So, it's pretty cheap, $200 for a couple flags, to then have customers seeing that we offer this service, come in and get your propane filled. So just a small thing, but yard signage and banners, those are also a super cost-effective way. They may seem silly and small, but I would say that they're pretty high impact. So get some signage out there besides just what you have permanently established. Another cheap thing that you can do is like a $10 Home Depot, whatever you have in your area, have a little gift card for guys that spend like $500. $500 is not super hard to get to for a customer, but giving them a little $10 something is valuable to them because that they're going to be out there working, grabbing stuff. It's not a whole lot of money to you, but it means quite a bit to them, because how often, whenever you do business, wherever you do business, how often do you get some sort of handout like that? Probably not. So it's a super cheap thing that you can do. It doesn't cost you a whole heck of a lot of money. And it just builds really good rapport and appreciation from your customer that this company is doing something for me that most don't. It's just a cool little extra that you can be doing. And again, $10 is not a whole lot. That may add up at the end of the year, but $10 is pretty inconsequential. You would knock $10 off of a rental for, $500 rental, and you wouldn't think much of it, but they're actually receiving something, tangible to use in their day-to-day that might not even be used for their normal project. It could be something for just home life or whatever, because there's plenty of home goods that we can get at those contractor supply stores. And then I want to retouch the sticker side. At your counter, if you're not using QR codes, you need to go ahead and get some QR codes made that will take you to your guys' landing page for your equipment, your catalog, or your reservation board online. Have it in your bathroom on the mirror, have it in your front counter space, and then within the tags that you have on your equipment, certainly put that QR code. That way guys can scan it on site when they're using their equipment. If they need to get another piece of equipment, the name of your game for advertising is just, and then just operation of your business is being as convenient as possible. People love convenience today, so you're trying to make them look smart, be convenient for the customer, give them no reason to not be able to reach out to you quickly and efficiently for getting more equipment on site, or just inquiring about if you have a piece of equipment that they need for whatever roadblock they may have met that they didn't realize they needed a machine to fix it. Just really put it out there. One thing that I've been meaning to do for some time is in our porta potties, I wanted to put a sticker just inside the door of a QR code, a few pieces of equipment that we have. That way, if your foreman or whoever is an operator on site is, they're using the restroom, they're more than likely playing on their phone. So then just have it up there as something to do while they're sitting there to look at your equipment and see if maybe you're a better rate or if you have the machine that they need to fix whatever roadblock they've ran into. So with convenience, that's going to kind of segue into the next part of becoming a local helper. Something you can do is like a 30-second TikTok video or a Facebook reel of like 3 things to look for before renting a skid steer. Something that's informative, sets you up to be a teacher. People like working with people that are teachers and there to help them get jobs accomplished for an education. What's great about being a teacher is you're helping your customer look smart and feel smart on the job site. So if you're doing that, then you're making your customer who may have a higher up that's looking for the next guy to promote, you're helping them look smarter and more efficient on their job site. So that's, I think, may sound like a small thing or a thing you didn't really consider, but being a teacher is a really big deal for your contractors and who you're working with. And you can do that by simply educating people with quick little 30-second reels or TikToks of equipment, how to operate it, things to look for when renting equipment, and little maybe small things that you didn't realize a machine could be used for a job. Then they're helping their job site by solving a problem that you've already solved for them. They just weren't aware of it, but then your video brought that to light. Then they're getting the benefit of looking smarter to their superiors and just looking like more of an asset to their team. Another thing with convenience is perhaps leaving some sort of laminated tag of equipment that you carry, their prices, quick little jotted down prices like the day, week, and month. Here's something that I just added that I think is super cool. It's these little like 1 by 2 inch little key tags that are laminated with our bread and butter items, their day, week, and month rates. That way, and it's stuck to the key actually. So as a customer or contractor is running that machine, they're constantly on and off the machine fiddling with the key to start it. So it gives them a chance to just be in front of them, see that you guys offer these, here's your prices. If they have a breakdown or they need an additional machine, if they've got it from somewhere else, or if they're about to be getting a machine, they've already got at a glance your equipment. And also it's back of mind. You always want to stay back of mind, just be a reason that people are going to you first. That gives a convenience of them not having to take time out of their day to call and first see if you have the equipment. But then also they know right out the gate, well, this is what this company charges for this item that I know I'm going to need. So you're, again, just making it super convenient. I'm excited about it because I think it's a pretty dope idea. I think it looks really neat. I think it works. So here, that was it. So that was a cool little thing that we recently added. It took a little bit of time, of course, to cut them all out, design them up, and then laminate them, punch holes or whatever, and stick them to the keychains. But now every customer has a little bit of a lead as to what our costs are, because you've got guys working on job sites with your equipment. You're already putting yourself out there, and not to be a reason for them to get equipment elsewhere. How many times have you taken a machine to a job site, you're the first machine on the job site, but then you go back later to pick up the machine, or you're driving by and then you see that they've got another company's piece of equipment on the job site and you're like, why didn't they give us a call? Well, perhaps they've got an account with that company. They know that that company has that machine. They know its prices already from experience. So they're going to go with the most convenient thing for them. But you're putting yourself there in front of them because you have one of the best leads due to the fact that they're using your equipment already. So it's just a really good way to put your equipment out in front of them. The prices of it gives them a chance to compare apples to apples. That way you have a chance at actually getting your machine on site. And to kind of finish out this section would be making sure that you have some sort of effective CRM that either does a text blast or a monthly email blast, things that you expect to happen through seasons. Equipment is kind of a seasonal thing of what's going out. So for example, something simple like April showers brings pumps. So you could have in April, have some sort of text or email blast go out saying this week we're having a 10% discount on all trash pumps because you know that people are going to be needing it. So you're already getting front of mind of Rental has what we need. They're offering a discount already on this stuff. So we can kind of anticipate that this piece of equipment we're going to need. So we already know that we're getting a discount on it, already relevant before they even call on it. It's just right there in front of them. And you're already coming to front of mind for getting that piece of equipment on their job site and, solving their need. Next would be things that cost very little, like partnerships or cross promoing. So you have your concrete plants, your lumber yards, perhaps other portable restroom companies. They're all servicing the same guys. So either exchanging flyers to be able to give out to customers between different companies, or perhaps giving some sort of like referral or finder's fee to those other businesses for sending customers your way. Costs you very little. It goes towards a good cause because it's going to other small businesses in your market. Another thing that's super simple is your like sports teams, your little leagues, or even like your high school or junior high sports teams. You're going to get calls on getting promos on like their shirts, on the walls, on their fences for like your baseball teams. So you're looking at anywhere from like $300 to $500 for that. But again, you have pretty cheap. It's a good thing too because you're sponsoring youth, and it's a good thing to invest in your local city and just people in your area. So put a little bit of money into advertising with those avenues because you're putting yourselves in front of people. They see that you're a small business supporting your local community. It's just a really good, easy thing you can do. Doesn't cost a whole heck of a lot of money. We've done it kind of here and there. We get a lot of calls on it, so sometimes it becomes annoying how often we get calls from companies on it. But here and there, I'll break down and go ahead and support a local team, especially if it's like some guy within my organization. You certainly want to support your guys and their kids. I'll donate there or contribute there, kind of puts our name out there. And again, it just builds a really good sense of community internally at your shop too, because you're doing something for your guys and supporting their kids, and you're taking a bit of like a vested interest in what their kids are doing and supporting them. Another thing you can do that's low cost is having like a Saturday event, like a free Saturday event, like compressors and coffee, yard and coffee, small events, demo days where you can be showing people how to use perhaps homeowners. Because for us as a small guys, our bread and butter typically is more of your small homeowner, contractor, things of that nature, or if you're trying to break out more into the homeowner side, because that's a side that's kind of slept on, I think, in this industry. Definitely have some sort of event that you're putting out on site, showing people how to operate equipment that may be fearful to operate it. Gives them a chance to run the machine. You get to be a teacher. Again, getting back to making somebody look smart, showing the capabilities of a machine, showing machines, again, that people may not realize you have. Just a fun little thing you can do. Doesn't cost you a whole lot of money, and it's just a really good look because it gives a chance to engage with your customers, because customer engagement is so important. It gives you a chance to show face, which is great. And then also just that somebody's getting something for free. Who doesn't like free today? And donuts are pretty awesome. And then to wrap everything up, it's going to be really important that you don't fly blind. Understand where your money's going, that it's being effective. Make sure that you're seeing some sort of return or results from how you're advertising, where you're advertising, the approaches that you're taking. You want to be getting, I think, like ideally 4 to 5 times your money of whatever you're putting into it for each area that you're working in. And things that you can do that are super simple are simply keeping a Google spreadsheet of responses from customers. When a new customer comes in, have your team ask, how'd you hear about us? What brings you in today? Then incentivize your people to ask those questions. Perhaps give them like a $5 Starbucks gift card for every 20 responses they get. That gives you the most concrete evidence of where your money is going, making sure that you're having a cost-effective way of grabbing that new business. One thing you should be using is like UTM or Bitly. UTM is a urchin tracking module. Effectively, it's tracking the links that you're putting out there, seeing what sort of engagement and clicks you're getting on it. That way you're actually getting a better idea or grasp on what links are being engaged with, clicked, and so forth. That could be just in your emails or just a general web page you're putting out on like your Facebook, any of your socials. You're seeing how much clicks you're getting on those different things. If you have like a certain way that you're advertising videos, information that you're putting out there, if you have like a blog, some way to your website, you can take your website and make it into like a little unique link so you know that you're getting more clicks through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever avenues you're using to push yourself out there. You're seeing where you're getting the most clicks and engagement from. So it's a typically free service for being able to track what sort of engagement you're getting with that. And I actually need to correct myself on something. You need to be pretty proactive on tracking it and then adjusting across at least like a 90-day period. If you're not getting actually like ideally 5 to 10% return on your investment of advertising within that 90-day period, once you hit 90 days, you probably need to reevaluate and kind of adjust your approach. And again, that's kind of a micro 90 days. I think that is a pretty short amount of time, but it's still enough time to grab information and then make adjustments on the fly. So you're not end up spending, half the year with one way or approach that's just not working. So 90 days, if an approach isn't being effective, go ahead and adjust it. And then just make sure, again, knowledge is everything, data is everything in your business. So make sure you're doing a very good job of tracking how your advertising is doing, where you're getting the best engagement, and then just build off of that, and then just kill things that aren't working. If it's not working for you, if it's not doing much, not making 5 to 10 times your return on investment, just go ahead and kill it. Save yourself the money, the headache, and the time, because again, you can't get your time back, but you can always make more money to put elsewhere. Stop that bleed, move on to a different approach, and then just adjust on the fly. Figure out what does and doesn't work. I can't really tell you metrics to watch because each market and how you advertise is going to be so different from what we're doing. But if your approach isn't working, watch more people that are on social media about advertising yourself, social medias, everything of that nature. Listen to what they have to say for advice and just start applying those to your regimen of how you advertise and just your schedule of how you're approaching it. Now to go back through everything, 4 things that I think you should pull from this that are steps you should do today. First would be making sure that you're taking ownership of your Google My Business and that it is fully set up. Next would be taking at least one 15-second video of your equipment running, just some informational deal. Do that once a week and throw $20 at it to boost it. Third would be just do like 200 flyers to distribute to your local supply houses for the customers that are there getting a completely different service, putting yourselves in front of the guys that you know you're going to be doing business with. And lastly, make a goal to grab 50 bits of data from your new customers, asking them simply, how did you hear about us? So you can start tracking and building that habit of verifying metrics of where money is going and where it's being effective for customers that are coming your way that are new to you guys. If you can master those 4 things, I can just about confidently say that come Memorial Day of 26, you're going to have your phones ringing more than they typically have been, just from some of these simple steps I went through, these cost-effective ways to be more effective in getting your name and advertising your brand. I think 2026 is going to be an awesome year. I kind of thought that about 25, but you all kind of were in the same boat. So the economy wasn't what it was, but something about 26 has me super bullish. I'm excited for it. So right now you need to be setting the foundation for kind of joining me in that awesome year that is going to be 26. That is going to do it for episode 4 here at Rent All Business Beacon, where we are guiding equipment rentals and igniting local success. If you found value in this episode, which I feel like a lot of guys should have, do me a solid, either repost it, take a screenshot, post it to your story, go ahead and tag us in it. I repost every single one. I like to engage with you guys. Let me get a sense of how this community is growing. Next episode, tune back in where we are going to be discussing handling late returns and damaged equipment. That way you don't lose your hair or your customer when dealing with it. As always, appreciate your guys' time. And until the next time, keep your rubber the right side down, and we'll see you on the next one.